Can love overcome racial differences?
I believe it's definitely possible. Given for myself, I'm actually dating a Chinese lady.
I think love can happen with different races because it doesn't matter on how you look or where you're from. It only matters on the bond that you have with the other person.
I believe so. My friends out there, I've seen married couples like Chinese and Malay, Chinese and Indian, Malay and Indians.
I very much believe so. I have witnessed myself several interracial couples who have gone through that. They married, they got kids, and they have good relations with a partner's family and relatives and friends. Of course, it's not like a walk in the park wherein everything is easy.
Fundamentally, as people, were already very different. So racial differences is just a very small factor in the differences, and that can be easily overcome with understanding and with education, to understand one's culture, to understand one's race. So I believe that love can definitely overcome racial differences.
I've heard some people say love is blind, so it doesn't really matter on your physical appearance because it matters on the time that you spend with the other person, how much you enjoy playing with the other person.
I would think so. Yes, for myself, for example, my wife is half Eurasian. The father is Eurasian, mother is Chinese, so she's half Eurasian. And my daughter married a Indian Muslim. It's rather blur in the racial line here.
I do believe that if two people from opposite races are in love, it should be almost quite normalized that they don't feel pressured. And when I use the word they, I mean anyone outside of the relationship lah. They shouldn't feel pressured. They should feel more safe. And I feel like love is a very powerful tool to be able to do that lah.
It's very interesting because my mom is a Malay who dated a Chinese man, hence why Chinese Malay. My dad, after he met my mom, he started to see beyond the racial aspect already.
Back then in secondary school, I had a relationship with a Muslim. We actually find love with each other, we bond with each other, we try to make things out. We got together for about 8 months-ish, but then due to our friends, right, they'll be like, hey, you sure or not? You want to be with her? What about your future? Are you gonna convert to Muslims? Things like that lah. So it got us a little bit confused. After that, we went on separate ways, but with mutual respect with each other lah.
There was a time wherein I was involved with a Muslim Malay guy. I got a lot of remarks and comments about it. This one stayed on with me for very long because how hurtful these words are. He gave me this bewildered look like, are you asking me if the sky is blue? It's like, do you have offspring? You're having a mixed kid. It's totally unacceptable. He even used the term abomination, so it's too strong a word for that.
If we bring it back to like a parent-child love, it's that unconditional love, and no matter what they do, you love them regardless. And there's no conditions set to it. Prior to dating my partner, I would have never thought that I would be in a mixed relationship, and I would have never thought that one day I'm gonna have to give up pork. I realized that I do actually love other food more than just eating pork, so I do not see it as like me giving up something. It's just me like not eating it anymore. And in terms of converting, I'm free thinker. I'm not really bound by any religion. My family go through Taoist practices, but I've always been taught from young that we should respect all religions, and fundamentally all religions teach us to be a good person. Especially after understanding his religion a bit more, I'm not opposed to converting because the religion still teaches you to be a good person, and that's something that I hold very true to my heart.
Well, in the beginning, it's quite hard to accept actually, even though we have been living in this multiracial society. But to have your daughter marry a non-Chinese is quite a shock. In fact, I was quite against it in the very beginning. But then later on, as I thought about it, well, even I myself, I didn't marry a pure Chinese, so what is that now? And then next thing I thought was, it's her life, not mine. As long as she's happy with this boy, and this boy loves her, I think that's good enough for me. So I accepted it. She didn't tell me in detail, but I think some of her friends start to alienate her, and then they make certain remarks. I don't know what remark they make, but she was quite hurt, and then she would come back and say, oh, these people, I don't want to be friends with them anymore.
What me and my past love actually did, right? We been to each other's festive celebration. So for example, I got Chinese New Year, right? I'll invite her over to my house, introducing her what is our culture like. And likewise, she did the same. If you have mutual love for each other, I believe you have the mutual understanding for each other. Yeah, and then maybe things will work out from there.
My parents love him regardless whether we are racially different. As long as I'm happy with him and he's a good person, they are willing to let me convert.
My parents had friends from different countries. I play games with them. Sometimes I go places with them. They share about their favorite food, their favorite colors, their traditions, what they do on their festivals, what they like watching. Yeah, sometimes my friends fight because some of my friends, their parents are the same race, some other are different race. Because talking about their parents, I think they love their parents very much. If they're talking about someone that they love, I think they'll hurt them a lot, and I don't think that's really nice. If that was me, I would feel really sad, and I think everyone should respect every person or race.
I think insensitive remarks wise, we don't exactly receive such things. At times it's just more of a butt jokes, like, oh, Chinese never shower in the morning, you know, is it true? So I actually asked my partner, so actually, do you shower in the morning or not? We try not to say it too much, because sometimes when we say it too much, it kind of creates this sort of narrative towards how we think towards a certain race. Back in secondary school, I actually was a lot more darker skinned because I used to play basketball in the hot sun. I was constantly being suntanned. People mention about the skin color. I just realized that it doesn't matter. It doesn't determine the personality of the person. In some ways, mainstream media has a part to play in this, basically having better education. Other ways is to really create opportunities to have an open communication with other races. You have to meet people from other races to actually have a clear understanding. And this is something that I learned from my partner, is that with clear understanding comes patience and comes the care and love for other people. The first thing when I told my mom about my partner, right, that she is Chinese, my mom literally said, "You sure? You sure you want to go through this?" Because given that her experience is as such, is there's some obstacles. I told her that we feel we are a great fit and we would love to see past that racial aspect.
We really embrace both our Chinese side of customs and the Malay side of customs, and we celebrate both equally. We won't really be focused on the differences, but more of embracing the cultures itself. And in terms of how we choose to bring up our children in terms of beliefs and in terms of character, how we teach our children is aligned, and we just want them to be good people. That's what we are focused on. We'll teach more on rationale of why you have to do this action or why you have to be honest.
I feel that teach your children, and I don't mean teach your children not to be racist. Remind your children that you live in Singapore and you have all these races out there for you to engage with and understand and learn as a culture that creates this diaspora, which is Singapore. Progress can only begin from some point. So I'm very much with this approach with children. So teenagers lah, you are who you are around. I am not around people who, I don't say are racist or racially insensitive, but because I'm such a mixed individual myself, I feel the people around me are as diverse as I am. I think as I live, as I date, meaning I have dated a Malay, I am dating a Chinese who people don't even know is Chinese. I don't need someone to come up to me and tell me, hey, what race are you? I will never receive that. I think what I will receive more is like, I'm not so sure, what are you? Being the color of my skin is enough to also navigate the nuances of how insensitive and sensitive people are.